Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to Surviving to Thriving, where we address how to move from struggle and just surviving in a world that's too big, too loud, just too much, and to reach a place of calm and actually thriving as highly sensing people. I'm your host and high sensory coach, Tammy Goen, and as always, I'm so glad to have you here with me. And make sure that I am truly recording. Yes, okay, some little technical glitches here. So good to be here with you. And I'm really hoping that through this channel, this group format, that I can help as many highly sensing people, women and men, but women in particular, to stop hiding and feeling wrong and playing small, stop trying to be less sensitive, and really honoring and embracing the trait, and that every single person who has this trait of high sensitivity can be a gentle but strong force in the world, male or female, introvert or extrovert, just being able to be that strong force by owning our trait. So this week I'm going to talk about self-care. Yes, I've talked about that a whole lot, and there's reason for that. And like some things, sometimes we need to hear things over and over and over until it really sticks, or we have a motivation to follow through with it. And there's just so many reasons that this is important. So once again, I'm going to be talking about self-care a little bit different maybe than I've done in the past. And I like to start with quotes, as you know. So the first one today is: knowing how to be solitary is central to the art of loving. When we can be alone, we can be with others without using them as a means of escape. And that's brought to us by Bell Hooks. And I love that because we will be talking about some alone time, and some people really do have a hard time being just by themselves and not having a distraction of some kind. And so if we're talking about things like listening to our intuition, or trying to calm our nervous system, or just taking care of us, we need to be able to have that time where we're not distracted by others, to really get to know ourselves and to love ourselves. So I love that quote. And then the second is: keeping good company, keep good company, read good books, love good things, and cultivate soul and body as faithfully as you can. And that came from Louisa May Alcott. So again, focusing on things that are really important to us helps to honor our needs. And whether we're being alone at times or keeping company with people who resonate with us, that's really important. And all of those things would be part of self-care in my view. So first, let's look at some stuff that I have addressed, in different ways in the past, of why it's important to focus so much, and how, as I do so often, on taking care of ourselves, of having this really solid self-care practice. And the number one thing, especially for highly sensitives, is the nervous system, calming that nervous system. So since we're constantly bringing things in like a giant sponge, and we have that tendency to become overfilled, overloaded, our nervous systems get amped up, and then we can't manage all of those things. We have to decrease that level of being amped. We have to calm that nervous system so that we can shift into that rest and digest place more often. As I mentioned, when we're constantly feeling flooded by things and overwhelmed, we're in that fight or flight mode all the time. So we really need something that allows us to shift into that calm place, that regroup, recharge, rest and digest. And then there are, increased stressors these days. There's just, turn on the news. Hopefully you don't watch that too much, or find out what's going on in your neighborhood, in your bigger community, in the world, in our country. There's just so much going on to be stressed about. And so we really need to be focused on a way to not react in a way that is negative for us, that doesn't benefit us. So managing those increased stressors is really important. And as I've talked about before too, some of that research is showing that highly sensing people tend toward experiencing more of those stress reactions and leading to illness. So if we are not taking care of ourselves well enough, we're more likely than average to end up in that place of getting sick, whether that's a cold or something, chronic, we need to take care of our systems, of our nervous systems, of our bodies, and of ourselves, our psyches. We need that in order to manage in this really big tumultuous world. And I've talked about, you've probably read many times that I've talked about how we have like two different buckets. We have our energy contained bucket with what we're able to manage. So our bandwidth, if you will, we want that to be full so that we have something to work with. And then we have our bucket that gets full of all of the extraneous stuff, all the input from the environment, from other people, from energy, all of that fills up that bucket. We want those to be balanced, right? So if we have too much coming into that input bucket and we don't have enough to match in our own bucket, it's just not going to work. And we're going to be depleted. We're going to get exhausted. We're going to get sick. And it's just so important to have all of these tools for taking care of ourselves so that we can raise the level of our own buckets so that we can manage everything and not reacting as much to all of those things that are coming in. And in some cases, limiting what's coming into that input bucket by making choices that help to mitigate that. So why is it particularly important and more challenging for HSPs to manage stress or stressors? And part of that is our tendency to want to do for others first, no matter what. It's just kind of part of that compassion level. And we see something that needs to be done, we want to rush out there and take care of it. And then we have this feeling that, and this is reinforced by society, that it's selfish to take care of ourselves, to focus on ourselves first, that's just not a cool thing to do. We want others to be happy. We want others to be happy with us. We want everything to go smoothly. These are stereotypes, but that's typically what HSPs experience. And we tend to be easily distracted by life in general, because again, we're the sponge and everything keeps coming in and it all piles up, and we give meaning to everything fairly equally. So it's hard to not have those things affect us. So we can be really distracted and focus our attention outward and managing all of this stuff and not listening to what our own internal needs are. And we can have way too many to-dos on our list. And then another thing that pops up for a lot of people when I start working with them to really create and get a maintained, sustainable self-care practice is, I don't have enough time. And that's a big barrier for many, many people, sensitive or not. Life is just so busy. I don't have time to stop and take care of myself. But we have to remember that if we don't, just like, put on your oxygen mask first, if you don't, you will run out of what you need to continue taking care of everyone else. You'll just self-destruct. We don't want that. So what I want to focus mostly on today is, what is self-care? How can that look? So that you might have like preconceived ideas of like, oh, I can't make that work, so I'm just not going to go there. Or you might think, well, I'm doing this, this, and this, but maybe that's not enough. Or maybe it's a little bit different than some of the things that I will be presenting. So what is self-care? Yes, it's really important to have certain things that we treat ourselves with, or that we grant ourselves permission for, that could be bigger, that could cost money sometimes, maybe getting a massage. And as also a massage therapist myself, I see the value of massage, of course. And something like that is important for being in that place of relaxing and knowing that you're taking care of yourself and gifting yourself. But sometimes people still see that as selfish and something that's, way, way down at the end of the possibility line of, if I have enough money when all of this is done, or if I have enough time when all of this is done, then maybe I'll get a massage. But there's things like that. There's taking trips, or going to a concert or an event that would really resonate with you. Those kinds of things are really important. Of course, they do cost money. So again, it's not something to be doing all of the time, probably. And it's not the most important thing to be doing, but it is important to take care of ourselves in the way of honoring what is good for us, that we would assume that it's okay for somebody else to do, but making sure that we also can do that. So giving us that permission to do those things. Maybe it's even splurging on something that you've really had your eye on for a long time. You don't really need it, but it would really contribute to your life in some way. So being able to gift yourself that, if you want to see it as a gift, but it's also just honoring yourself and your needs and saying, yeah, I'm valuable just like everybody else. So once in a while, I'm going to treat myself to something. So those are some aspects of self-care. But let's look at the other things that are, for the most part, free, and also things that are easier to fit in, things that are very simple or don't take up as much time. Sometimes things will take up more time, but these are the things that just should be part of your ongoing practice, whether you have time or money to go on a trip or to get that massage. So one of the most important things is making sure that you have that time every single day. And I know you've heard me say this many times, every single day, some kind of a practice to keep you calm and centered and in the moment. That could be meditation or some kind of deep breathing. That could be some kind of mindful practice, even yoga, depending on how that's done, what that focus is. But sometimes to just be totally in the present, no judgment, no expectations, just being. And every single day is what really makes that cumulative effect so that it becomes very, very powerful for you going forward. So if you can put into your schedule, and sometimes that's what it takes, often, usually that's what it takes to create that habit. And until it's a habit, it needs to be in your schedule somewhere. Maybe it's a sticky note on the bathroom, mirror, that as soon as you finish your breakfast and brush your teeth, you go and you do your meditation or your deep breathing, or you have something on the table to remind you, and maybe it's in your phone on your schedule itself. Whatever it is that helps you remember at this time-ish every day, I am doing this for me. And this is what I'm choosing to do. And you can change that up, of course, if you don't want to do meditation every day and you want to do meditation sometimes and breathing sometimes, but something that keeps you really, really focused in the moment. Making that number 1 on your to-do list, not number 12, that, oh, if I have time, then I'll fit that in, but making that happen. And then whatever else you have time for gets fit in. And then making sure to have enough good sleep. So if you are putting yourself last by saying, I'm going to finish this project or take care of this stuff for these other people or do this, get this chore or whatever, even if that means an hour or 2 less sleep for me, I just need to do that. If you do that consistently, you're just not going to be in that place where you are 100% you and able to do those things that you want to do and be the person you want to be for everyone else. You have to have that good sleep. And if you're highly sensing, you need it that much more. The research has shown that we really need our good quality sleep. And there are some people who will say, oh, I can get by on, 5 hours a night because I'm used to it. But what's the cumulative effect on the body with that? Foregoing all of that rest and digest time, that time to regroup and for your body to heal and just take care of everything that's been dumped on you, that you brought in throughout the day. That's a time that's really, really valuable. So making sure that you have really a long, 7-8 hours, maybe you need more, maybe not quite as much, but somewhere around there, 7-ish, maybe doing a little test to see if I do 7 hours, 8 hours, 9 hours, what does that do for me? But also making sure that the sleep is really good so that you're winding down before you go to bed, not eating too, close to when your bedtime is. You don't have a lot of distractions. You do some kind of meditation or some kind of focus, some journaling, something before you go to bed to kind of help your mind slow down, calm down so that you can get really good quality sleep. Another aspect to consider is schedules. So managing your schedule is really, really key to being able to feel good and be the person that you want to be. And it's definitely an integral part of self-care, taking care of you, managing that schedule. So things like keeping times open on your physical schedule that don't have anything in there, nothing's written down there, because things happen. We don't know what's going to come up. And if we are maxed out and then another thing comes that we actually have to do, or we feel like we have to do, then we're doing 110, 120, 150%, and we can't sustain that either. So making sure that there are some openings, some flexibility in the schedule, or things that can be moved forward. If something else comes that's more pressing, we can say, oh, okay, well, I'm going to take care of that instead. But that means I'm moving that to tomorrow because I can't do it all. There's no need for me to do it all, and it will not be in my best interest, and therefore in anybody else's. So maybe putting off things that you know are going to take more than you've got that day. Say, I'm going to wait until tomorrow to even start that, or have in your mind that it's okay. You don't need to finish it today. You can start it. And then when you get done with your time block and say, oh, it's now time to move on to this, that you honor that and carry that forward. And then also checking your schedule before you commit to anything, whether that's someone else's project or a request by somebody, or even something that you want to do, something that pops up that you're like, oh, that sounds really great. What have I got going on? And you look at your schedule. And if you realize that, wow, I'm going to be tapped out, that's a lot to ask myself to be able to do. Being able to just say, that's not going to work this time. Or say, oh, I really, really want to do that. So I can move this to tomorrow so that I can have time for this, or maybe this new thing I can do tomorrow. But being very aware of that and checking that schedule first, because even if you think, oh yeah, I'll manage, it'll be fine. And then you get to the, 2/3 of the way through the day and you realize, wow, this is like really, really adding up. This is a lot. I don't know what I'm going to be able to do by the end of the day. And then you still have one more thing after. You don't want to crash. So really being aware of that. So some other things for self-care would be spending time in nature, and HSPs tend to have a really strong connection with nature, really, really make a good connection and receive a lot from that experience. So even if you don't have a lot of time to go for a walk or a hike, going into your backyard or going to a park and just spending 5 minutes touching or sitting at the base of a tree, or grounding, earthing, taking your shoes off and putting your feet on the ground for 5 minutes. If that's all the time that you have, great, use it and really make that connection, be in the moment and have that extra energy, that earth energy coming in. Very powerful. And then of course there is spending time with friends and supportive people, making sure that those that you are surrounding yourself with are feeding you, not depleting you. And then it is really good to have fun activities, excuse me, that you can experience on a regular basis. That might be yoga, that might be running, if that's something that you really like. It might be hiking or doing some kind of outdoor recreation type of activity. It might be dancing. It might be reading. It might be, something that I haven't mentioned that just really feeds you, that's super fun. But you can have a tendency to think, well, that's kind of selfish if I make time for that every week, or if, finding something fun every day seems selfish. But we really need to feed ourselves, feed our souls, so that we can, again, be what we want for everyone else. So we need to have those things that are bright spots in our day, so that we can raise our vibration and be the people we want and go forward and help others raise their vibration. And as I mentioned, it's important to be able to have solo time. It's great to have social time. So when you want to have social time, allow for that and say, oh, I really need to make that connection with people. And then do that in a way that resonates, but also allow for alone time. If you just feel like you want to have that time and not feel guilty or weird, or, like, oh, everyone else wants to go do this and I just want to be with me for a while. Don't feel that that's weird, but also give permission to do that and not see that as selfish, because it's very, very important to have that downtime. And downtime in general, again, needs to be often scheduled to make it happen. And as a reminder or information, that if you haven't heard this, Elaine Aaron, that did all of the initial research, and others, following after, have agreed that ultimately, optimally for sensitives, we would do best with 2 hours a day and a full day a week of downtime, solo, alone time. That's a lot. And I know very few people that can manage that unless they're retired and single and, have no other responsibilities. But if you think, well, if that's the goal, can I at least commit to 15, 30 minutes a day just on my own to decompress, to do whatever I feel like doing? And maybe that's one of those fun activities, but solo, Maybe that's just reading, soaking in a hot bath, whatever really feeds you, that is just you, just having that downtime. And then you have that time when the energies aren't coming in, when emotions aren't a factor, all of that stuff that's going to be adding up throughout the day. You have that time, that respite away. Another thing to be thinking that is part of self-care is being able to say no to others' requests of you, whether you know it's coming or if it's a total surprise, projects that you weren't prepared for or that someone would like you to do, events or things that pop up that just don't resonate, things that even that you want to do, but you don't have the bandwidth for, being able to say no to those, and not doing things just because others want you to, or you think they want you to, or would be upset if you don't. Being able to just say, you know what, I'm out of energy. I can't do one more thing, or this really doesn't resonate for me. I'm going to say no. And honoring that without feeling weird, wrong, like you need to just suck it up and do what everyone else is doing or what you think they want you to do. Just being able to say, no, I'm going to opt out of that. So other boundaries are very, very important part of self-care. So when we look at things like, what do you allow others to do or say to you? If something is just not appropriate, is hurtful, is, feeling really heavy, just not working for you, it's important to be able to say, that's not working for me, or this is how affects me. I would like this instead. Setting those boundaries of what's okay and not okay for you and toward you. Some things are just not acceptable, but we can sit back and go, well, I don't want to make waves. I'm just gonna let this slide. But that becomes habit, and then we're not honoring ourselves. So being able to say no in those ways, or say, hey, this is what I need, or this isn't okay for me. Can we do this differently? Or how can we solve this? Because it's just not okay. And then there's boundaries of time, like just limiting again, I talked about schedules, but limiting your own output time and not thinking that you have to do everything, make room for everything that comes your way, even if it's all positive. You just realize I can't say yes to every single thing because I won't have the energy for it. And making sure that you limit time with people who are not resonating with you, who feel like they're depleting rather than energizing for you. And sometimes that means cutting ties with certain people if you just realize you can't get the positive from them and it's all depleting for you. So sometimes that's a real challenging boundary to start even considering, but then to maintain, to just say, yeah, I need to say no and be done with this person. That's definitely challenging, but that's part of that self-care, is saying, this is what's important for me and I need to honor that and follow it. So then that kind of leads into this idea of self-talk. And self-talk is really an important part of self-care. So what is it that you're saying to yourself? And one of the ways to see, am I talking okay to myself? Oh, no, I'm probably fine. Would you say what you are telling yourself at various times? Would you say that to someone else? Or do you think someone else would say that same thing to you? So, checking in with yourself about what you are really telling yourself. Oh, I should be able to do all of this and more. If I'm not, if I can't do that, then I'm weak. And that's not okay. Or are you saying, I need to take care of everyone else first, and if there's time or energy left, then I'll take care of me? What are the things that you're telling yourself that lead to doing too much, overcommitting, and not taking care of you? And we, looking at what those thoughts are, those beliefs, but also just that self-talk on a daily basis, being able to check in with that and know what that is, and then make those shifts. So we have to pretty much look at it as being our own best friends. So if we have patience with other people and we reinforce what other people are doing that we like. We celebrate, their wins, whatever they're doing. If we're able to do that for others, we need to do that for ourselves as well. Be our own best friend, be patient with ourselves, recognize that we do not need to be perfect. No one is perfect. That's okay, because there is really no such thing anyway. But it's not necessary to strive to be perfect. So we can acknowledge mistakes. We can let ourselves, have a rough day. We have days where we say, wow, I need to back out of a couple things because my energy level just isn't going to sustain me, and be okay with that. Or to say no to things and say, that's okay, because sometimes that happens, just like you would probably tell your best friend, that's okay. Take a day for yourself. But, why not? You need to take care of you. So treat yourself that same way that you would to someone else, and see that as imperative, that you are taking care of you. And that's the most important thing, so that you can take care of everyone else. So I know that sounds like, repetition. Oh, I've heard that before. Take care of me, and then I can take care of somebody else. But that is the reality. And if you don't take care of you, eventually you'll get sick, or others are just not going to be getting what you want them to get from you, because you don't have it to give. So self-care in so many different ways. And I would love to hear your stories or your ways of taking care of you, any way that you've found that helps you to have that sustainable self-care practice, something that you've been able to stick with that really, really makes a difference. I would love to hear what that would be for you. So I will send you on your way to consider how you are going to orchestrate your self-care plan for the rest of this week, and see what you can, increase or start that you haven't already. Maybe starting that meditation practice every single day when you first get out of bed, or after you finish your breakfast, whatever that looks like. Honoring yourself as an amazing person, as a highly sensing person with these needs for taking care of us that are even stronger. Just honoring that, giving that to yourself. Love you. See you later.